with episode 2. This episode we're reviewing the new Plasma Freeze set. As the scans haven't been fully released, we're splitting it into 2 parts, and in the first part we will be reviewing the Japanese set Spiral Force, and in the second half we'll be reviewing the other half of the set. Due to some family issues, we're afraid that Camera Clone won't be able to attend today, but we hope that he'll be back for future shows. And let's go on to the first card, and the first card we're going to talk about is Execute. At first glance it doesn't look very good. I mean, 30 HP is a bit too low. I mean, even Dynamo is better than that, and cards like Landra CX and Thunder CX will be knocking it out. But the main idea of decks that will be using it is to try and avoid starting with it unless you have other Pokemon, and then you can either use it as just discard fodder because of its ability, which allows you to keep putting it back into your hand when it's in the discard pile, which will enable you to have discard fodder for your stuff like Ultra Balls without discarding resources. Or the other option was combining it with a card that we'll review later, which is Weavile, which enables you to do 30 damage times the number of Pokemon you discard from your hand. With 4 Execute in the discard pile, you're able to consistently do 120. Add another Pokemon and you can be carrying stuff like EXs. While I don't think it's that powerful, as the Donk is quite a risk, I think it's still quite a good deck.
And not to mention, it's so fun to play. Like, how often do you get to say, I discard Execute and you Sap Sipper to bring it back? Like, I mean, that's just like one of the best things ever to say. And what's really fun is that in some lists that we've seen with it, they run another card we're going to talk about, Electrode, where its ability is basically just Bicycle. It personally reminds me of Claydol from Great Encounters, but they use that, like, discarding all these cards for the for Weavile's attack, and then they can just draw them right back with the ability without wasting a trainer or supporter from your hand, and
well,
so that's definitely fun as well.
Jonas? Yeah, what I was looking at it is obviously it would, one thing that would make that Weavile deck really a lot easier is that you can actually discard it, not try to get it into your hand. So say if you could get have 2 in your hand and an Ultra Ball, you could discard both of them with the Ultra Ball and then get that one.
Oh, I don't think you're understanding the Weavile's attack. From my understanding, its attack you have it's not times the amount of Pokemon in your discard pile. It's how many Pokemon you discard.
Yeah.
But once you have them in your discard pile,
so if
discarding them with
this,
Ultra Ball does nothing.
Yeah, but then you can just use Sap Sipper to get them back in your hand.
Good point.
But that's the whole mechanic of the deck.
okay, Vabelakes.
I'm a little bit biased. I'll admit I really, but
We're kind of having some technical difficulties.
Yeah, you're
I
breaking
think
up.
it's somewhat viable. Since Weavile.
Hey,
Yeah.
you're kind of breaking up here, Blakes.
Yeah, this could be a slight issue. Do we want to have a competitive impact rating? So just out of 10, Dane, how good do you think Execute will be out of 10 in terms of competitive impact?
Derpy out of 10. No,
How much actually out of 10?
Okay, it's kind of hard to say right now. Like, especially in the seniors division, everybody likes to troll, and what's best to troll than using Pokemon's weakness. So everyone's already running fighting Pokemon, so that could spell trouble for the deck. But if we see an incline, decline of fighting decks, it could potentially be a game changer. I'd probably say 6 out of 10.
Yep. Jonas, competitive impact rating out of 10.
I think Pen Weavile, you could give it a 5 maybe.
Okay.
Because
Oh,
it
go on.
could maybe give the format a bit of a, be an interesting play for national championships if you're really that brave.
A bit risky,
Right.
but okay.
A bit risky.
Yeah.
But, brave.
Well, I will give it a 6 out of 10. I think it is a lot of metagame dependent. If it's full of like slower decks like Blastoise, then it could be very powerful because they unlikely took it out. But as Dane very cleverly said, if they're running lots of big basics, then it could be too much of a risk, as it also hits Weavile to weakness as well, as we'll talk more about later. So I'm gonna settle on the 6, I think. Vablakes, if we can hear you. No.
Come here, boy. Come on.
I'm gonna
This
have to give it a 7 out because Weavile isn't the only deck that you can run it in. It'd be pretty useful as a one of in decks that run off like that, just so that you always have that extra card.
You mean for like Ultra Ball? You mean for like cards that do a lot of discarding? Sorry, you're breaking up, so it's kind of hard to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right then.
Right.
So
yeah.
the Blakes, you were the one who brought up the idea of the next
decks
of the
that run
next
high
card.
Ultra Ball counts and stuff like that.
Okay. Anyway, but on to the next card, the Blakes. Since you thought of the idea,
Yes,
why don't you bring it up?
Executor.
Yeah. Would you mind telling us what it does?
For one colorless energy,
Oh dear.
Yeah.
10 damage. It could be a pretty useful one-off in Execute Weavile.
We didn't actually hear what you said.
For those who missed out on that, for one colorless it does 10 damage and it prevents the opponent from using supporters on the next turn, which could be an interesting disruption card, as maybe like a tech index, as it's using colorless energies that are running Execute. Maybe if you start with one and it's not being their use and they're leaving it out. I'm not totally convinced by the card, but I just wanted to bring it up as Vablakes wants to bring it up, but is breaking up.
It's definitely an interesting idea, and I'm sure we'll see it at some point.
Okay. Jonas, any opinions on Executor?
No. I just think we shouldn't be reviewing this, but it's interesting. It's interesting, and I've got nothing to say, really.
Should we just have a quick competitive impact out of 10? Just quick fire.
I don't think that it'd have much that. I don't think it'd have enough impact to even give it a rating. Okay. So we may as well just go on to the next card.
I'm assuming,
which I believe is Chandelure.
Yes, it's Chandelure.
It's Heatran.
No, we'll do Chandelure first because it's first in the alphabet.
Chandelure is a really fun card. It reminds me a lot of Typhlosion Prime. Its ability, Flare Navigation. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for a fire energy, attach it to one of your Pokemon. And then you place 1 damage counter on that Pokemon.
It's better than
it's really fun, and I could definitely see it being used. It's not as powerful as Typhlosion Prime, I would say, because Typhlosion gets some from the discard, which works well as fire types tend to discard energies. But it's definitely an interesting card, and I'm sure at some point we'll see it pop up.
Okay.
Maybe once Blastoise goes on the decline.
Jonas, opinions on Chandelure?
I think it's really good, and with a high energy count, it probably could do some good. So it could be a cool rogue with a couple of fire attackers, but generally there aren't many good fire attackers.
Okay.
You search your deck for a fire energy, and well, you could use Mewtwo, but that's just kind of like prone for disaster. I mean, Deoxys, and Mewtwo. You're just going to be getting, if you're only attacked with Mewtwo, you're not going to be doing very well. But yeah, its attack is also its attack is good against, if you just play EXs, it's good against Cling Clan.
Yeah. Anyway, my thoughts on Chandelure. I think it's a reasonably strong card. Yeah, quite similar to Typhlosion, as people have brought up. I felt as it doesn't bring them back from the discard, the best way to play it might be with less of a focus on discards of energies like Reshieball was, but sort of more focus on attackers like Entei EX and Mewtwo EX, but more Mewtwo EX as a supporting attacker, just because it kind of struggles a little bit versus stuff like Deoxys EX, which is just faster acceleration with Colress Machine. But I don't think it will have a huge amount of success, as the format is quite fast at the moment, but I think it is a decent deck, and one that we'll probably see a few people trying to make a good list for. Ray Blakes, any opinions on Chandelure?
Definitely seniors.
I've actually, I've been, looking at possible combos with it. I really like it. One that's come up quite a bit, and, that seems pretty decent, is going to be, White Kyurem EX, honestly, because it discards the energy, and then you sort of, you don't always want to be attacking with it. It's sort of a cleanup card, almost.
Just to be clear, this is Boundary's
Cosmic
Cost.
Storm or Boundary's Cost?
And, you just sort of rolling with Chandelure. Boundary's Cross.
Boundary's Cost.
I forgot that there was one in Plasma Storm for some reason.
I'm back here.
Right.
Anyway, Matt, why don't you be the first one to give it a competitive rating?
Okay, I think I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10, just because I think it's a little bit too slow for this format, maybe, and there aren't a lot of, like, really good attackers that are going to abuse it at the moment, but I think it is quite a good choice. Okay, Dane?
I wish I could give it a good score. I really want to say 7 out of 10 or something amazing like that. But to be honest, it's just not that good of a card. It'll definitely see some play, but I don't think it's going to be big enough to deserve any more than a 5.
Yeah. Jonas?
Pokemon guy?
I'm probably going to improve on both of yours just a little bit, because it might be able to win a good handful of battle rounds. Maybe not a good handful, but maybe just a couple. Just to show it's sort of can win stuff. And remember, there is no top cut at battle red, so it makes it harder.
Yeah.
Okay,
but yeah, 6.5.
Ray Blakes?
Alright.
Honestly, the format is going to get a lot faster with Thunderous Deoxys. Maybe if it slows down a little bit in the near future, I could see it being good, but for now, I'm going to have to give it a 4 out of 10, because Litwick is pretty easily donked by...
Yeah.
So it looks like we're averaging around
Deoxys,
5.5. Looks like we're averaging around 5.5. So.
Okay, shall we move on to Heatran EX? I think we need to move on. So, Jonas, you can start on Heatran EX.
I just think it's... if you misread it, it's very good, which is why...
You might want to say what it does first. Not everybody knows.
Its first attack for fire and 2 colorless.
Colorless, yeah, that's
colorless. It's if he tries to affected by a special condition, this attack does 120. It does 60 base damage. I mean, that might be a translation error. Might be if defending Pokemon is affected by a special condition. It's
we can only hope.
Yeah.
We can only hope.
I don't think it is.
I do doubt it though. It means that it is pretty good for it can be set up on turn 1 with double colourless and ether. Being ambitious.
And then it's second attack.
Second attack is
Probably
2
the best
fire,
one.
2 colourless.
Also, it's the best name ever, Dynamite Breath.
Yeah, Dynamite Breath. Probably going to be changed, but if does 80 damage. If this Pokemon has a Plasma Energy attack, it does 10 more damage to each damage counter on the defending Pokemon.
So,
Seems not that good.
Yeah.
It does have the 3 retreat class that can be searched out by Heavy Ball. Do you think it has potential with Chandelure?
Speaking English.
Possibly, but
If
I
they
think
do, if that first attack is a translation error, then that might be pretty good, because you could, with double colourless and Mewtwo, with double colours, you could be streaming that. You could have loads set up.
Yeah, we can only hope it's
Unfortunately,
yeah.
but unfortunately, the 10 extra damage from Chandler puts it into a magic number, as explained by Issa.
I would have said
on 6 prices.
I would have said that M-Ball would have been probably a better acceleration, because it doesn't need consistently, because it doesn't actually discard. So once you've got it on there, you don't need to. You could afford to get end and something like that. And yeah. So basically, I'll move on to me now. I'm not too convinced that it will have a lot of impact on the metagame, just because it seems a bit slow and just doesn't really seem to have quite enough power, assuming the translation is as it is at the moment. As I said, combining it with M-Ball, and if you want to make the second attack work, I know there was one person in 6 prizes a while ago who wanted to try and make it work with Dusknoir. You can move the energies, you can move the damage counters onto their active Pokemon, and then attack with Heatran to the amount that you need. I mean, I don't think it's an amazing strategy, because it's quite slow, but I found it quite interesting, and certainly one to look out for, even if I don't think it's going to have that much success. Okay.
Well, I believe we're around the 20-minute mark, so we should probably start moving quicker. So
shall we
on to the next card.
Just do a quick competitive rating, no explanation, just a number. Dane.
4.
Jonas.
5.
I'm gonna go 4, and Blakes, if we can hear you. No.
I would probably give it around a 4, but 10 for the artwork, because the artwork is amazing.
Fair enough. Right,
Alright.
On to Glaceon. This one's just going to be a quick one, because I don't think it's that good. I'll start with me, because, yeah, I mean, basically, it provides 2 less retreat cost for your Plasma Pokemon, which, well, it's decent, with stuff like Float Stone and Switch around in trainer form. I just think it's better than having like a weak stage 1 card taking up lots of room in the deck, and even though it gives stuff like Deoxys EX free retreats, which is useful, I think there are still just better options out there than using it. I don't think there's a lot of need for it. Okay.
With all these different evolutions in this set, it's like every single player's dream to build like this amazing evolutions deck. If you are trying to go for that dream, this card will definitely help. Because all the evolutions in this set are Team Plasma Pokemon, so just like bam, 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 retreat. But that's gonna do anything in the format.
Okay. Jonas.
I'm more or less copying you, Matthew.
Yeah.
I've just got the same opinions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vabalix, quickly, if we can hear you.
Long story short, Float sounds better.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Just a quick number competitive rating.
That's pretty much all there is to say about it.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna have enough of an impact to even give it a rating.
Yeah, okay.
But on to the next card, Mr. Mime, I believe it is.
Yep, Mr. Mime. You can start
That's
this.
completely skipping electric, but none of them are good.
Oh dear, can't find this game. Oh, there you go. Okay,
I can tell you what it was.
Mr. Mime is an interesting card. Its ability, bench barrier. Your bench Pokemon can't be damaged
It's
by attack.
Squirtle's ability for the whole bench.
Yeah, it's but it's for all your bench. In the current format, I don't think it'll do anything. Once Catcher is rotated, which is including Dark Explorers because it's a shiny, I think it could actually be a good card to prevent all the sniping. But with Catcher in the format, it's just useless.
Yeah.
In my opinion. The Lakes?
I pretty much just agree with everything you said.
Okay.
Not very many uses for it right now. Catcher around.
I'm gonna say that while I don't think the card will be that good, a lot of the format at the moment does revolve around stuff like magic numbers with Darkrai's Bench Snipe and Landorus EXs, and those 30 damage becomes really crucial. So it could actually, I mean, not that I don't think it will be that useful at the moment, because I don't think it's quite worth the room, but we may see a couple of players just decide to take it into to help their mirror matches and make those numbers harder, those perfect numbers harder for the opponent to reach.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Pokemon
Pokemon.
Yeah. Well, you think about how Keldeo, Keldeo's probably good just because its Squirtles can't get 2 hit by 2 Darkrai Snipes. So if
Or
you think
Landorus.
about Landorus Snipes, but of course when the deck was good, Landorus wasn't exactly good.
It was good. It was the best deck.
Well, it
Anyway,
was.
but
Just think about that, and you can probably see how good it is, but it's if you can fit in the space. And if you're running a stage 2 deck as well. Right, if you're running a stage 2 deck, like a Chandelier, you need this.
Yeah, it would definitely be used in stage 2 decks, not named Keldeo Blastoise. But, anyway, Matthew, competitive rating.
I'm gonna give it a 3, but I reckon it could go up by quite a lot, potentially, if we see more of a sniping and just spreading format. Dane?
The Lakes?
Oh, Raven Lakes.
Sorry.
Quick number.
I will have to say probably maybe a 4, just
4.
because it could be used in stuff like Chandelure or Hydreigon.
Dane?
Okay, in the current format, I'd probably give it a 3. But if we happen to rotate to Dragon's Exalted on, which would be amazing, it would definitely go way up.
We wouldn't have many
possibly
sets, though,
to a
but-
6.
But, anyway,
Okay.
Pokemon guy?
I wouldn't rate it right now because it heavily depends on what the rotation is going to be. If they do take out Darkrai, it's going to make it not as good as bench sniping won't be as common as Darkrai is one of the most played decks at the moment. Yeah, I know, but Landorus, it's
good.
expensive and it's
Yeah, but
good.
people-
But it
people
takes
play
it
stuff
takes
that's
out
expensive.
half.
That doesn't tend to be an
but,
issue
like,
for the top players.
Darkrai
Yeah,
is
that
the
doesn't hinder people.
Anyway,
Darkrai's
moving
the
on.
metagame.
Next card.
Deoxys EX, here we go. Pokemon guy, you can start this one.
Well, most of you probably know that
Only
it's
one to
in
say anyway.
top deck in Japan. Thunderous Deoxys Kyurem. We'll get to Kyurem probably next
Yep, next episode.
episode.
Well,
And
I
Thunderous.
want to say something here.
Okay, just let
Not
Dane
everybody
talk.
knows the scans.
yeah,
You
it
might
does.
want
Yeah, I know. I'm
What?
about to say it.
Okay.
So it's got 100. It's psychic. It's at 170 HP, so it's on the magic numbers, which makes it a bit weaker against Darkrai than other decks, and Landorus. But Landorus doesn't exactly hit for those magic numbers as easily.
Just be a bit quick.
It's got an ability called Power Connect, which makes all of the Team Plasma Pokemon, excluding Deoxys, do 10 more damage to the defending Pokemon. So that does not include Snipes, just to let everybody know. It's got an attack called Spiral Force for a Psychic and a Colourless. If for 30 damage, if this Pokemon has a Plasma Energy, it is Mewtwo, not including you, with 30 plus. So if this Pokemon has a Plasma Energy attached to it, it's a total of 30 more damage for each energy attached to the defending Pokemon.
Okay.
So in a way, it's kind of like a more powerful Mewtwo. It's not as easy to set up, as it needs 2 different energy types to do that. But with the Psychic Energy and Chorus Machine, which is obviously easy to use, it could potentially be quite powerful on its own. But that's not always the best option. So you're beginning to talk about Thunderous Deoxys Kyurem.
Yes.
Can you explain that?
What, me?
Yeah.
I can explain if you
well-
want.
No, the other Pokemon guy.
It's basically a deck that revolves around mainly Thunderous EX. And what it does is that you start with Thunderous and use its 1 energy attack, which lets you get energy from the discard onto your bench, or I can't remember whether it's discard or deck.
Yeah, bench.
Discard.
Bench.
And onto the bench.
Discard to your bench. And Deoxys 10 more damage, and with Laser, you can do 60 damage on turn 1. And
It's a single energy for and it does 30 damage, so which is already pretty good. Adding the Deoxys and the lasers and all that stuff like that, you could do a lot of damage turn 1, and that's basically the goal of the deck, I believe. Just like
okay, sorry guys,
pressure
I've got to go for a couple of secs. Be right back in a few.
Okay, well, we will just go through with a bit of competitive rating. We'll start with Blake's competitive rating.
I'm actually, I'm probably gonna have to give it an 8 out of 10, just because it boosts Plasma Pokemon's attacks. I've played Thunderous Deoxys Kyurem myself, so I know that it's a real powerhouse. I definitely see it being a Tier 1 or best deck in format, so I have to give it an 8.
I would probably give it a 7. It's like definitely a good card. Not only does it help out with Thunderous Deoxys Kyurem, it's a huge contender in Plasma Box, which it just really reminds me of the times of SP. It's a really good card. It powers up everything real quick, and
that's Thunderous CX.
Yeah,
the deck powers up quickly. Yeah. I would probably give it a 9.
Okay,
being a bit adventurous, but just because I think, if the deck's going to be, I'm pretty sure it will be, a Tier 1 to BDIF deck, I think of a competitive impact rating, that's deserving of a 9. Well, I don't think it will be perfect, I think it's going to have a huge impact, and I think a 9 will be an appropriate score for that. Okay,
Pokemon guy?
I'm going to give it an 8. It's a good competitive deck. It will be part of a good competitive deck, and so we're running out of time. So let's just let's
do one more.
Let's start.
We'll just leave our
after this week, and then
Okay.
Why don't we do both darts? Because they're both very interesting.
And then we'll finish
The
it.
next
Alright,
two.
then we'll do 2 more cards, and then we'll wrap up the show.
Yeah.
So, but Blake, you haven't done an intro to a card yet. Why don't you introduce us to Weavile?
Oh, well, let's just say that Weavile is a pretty fun card. I plan on testing it out a little bit, maybe even taking it to a Battle Roads. It's just really fun. It's a Team Plasma Pokemon. It's a Dark Stage 1 with 90 HP, which is unfortunate because that puts it in one-hit KO range of a Night Spear or a Laser Burbank Hammerhead. But it's what it does do really well.
Level ball.
Yeah, but I mean, 100 still would have been better so that you don't get one shot by the two things that I just mentioned. But for a dark and a colorless, you discard as many Pokemon from your hand as you like, and it does 30 times the number of Pokemon you discarded in that way. Execute, combined with that card, allows you to do a pretty consistent 120 each turn, which 2 shots EXs. Now, they do one-shot you, but, you know, you 2-shot them back. It's a pretty interesting card. It does have a 1 retreat cost, which is really nice. That means that you probably won't have to run Darkrai with it. It's pretty easy to stream. It's just an all-around good card, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
Okay.
It definitely seems fun. Its first attack isn't a bad either. It's just for colorless, tend to eat your opponent's Pokemon. While it's not the best attack, it does allow you to spread damage around and try and reach those numbers for the KO. And but Weavile Execute definitely seems like it'll be a really powerful deck. And while the 90 HP is unfortunate, you are able to use Level Ball to search it out, making it a bit easier to find. Unfortunately, it is a Stage 1, so with Darkrai out and about, if you're unable to keep up with them, then you're gonna go kaput. I definitely can see it being a big contender next season.
Okay.
Matt?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it's a pretty decent card. I mean, one thing that hasn't been mentioned that much so far is that if you're running lots of other Pokemon as well with Super Odds as well as the Executes, you can actually KO EXs in one hit, which is actually a big bonus for the deck. And although you don't have to every time because you've just got your Executes, if you run like heavy Super Rod counts, then you can afford to discard, as we mentioned earlier, stuff like Electrode and Voltorbs that you don't have on the bench in order to get the really powerful attack off. The main problem, as I think all my friends have mentioned, is with stuff like the Donk from like Landorus EX and Thunderous EX, which is what we mentioned in the Execute section, and also just generally throughout the match it's still kind of weak. But I think it will be a deck that will have a reasonable success at Battle Roads. I don't think it will be like, well, I don't think it will be BDIF or Tier 1, but I think it could be the basis of a Tier 2 deck quite easily. Jonas?
Yeah.
Well, I think it is very interesting, but as all of you have just said, yeah, it just gets KO'd by Darkrai, and also with the 100 HP thing, just remember Dark Claw, that's and Laser in Darkrai, so
but Landorus would still be better.
It's very good, but I think, because we're running out of time, let's just skip the competitive rating. I think we've all...
Okay,
I think everyone probably agree with me.
I think we should. I think we'll just do the quick competitive rating. We'll wrap it up, and next week we'll start with Absol.
Yeah, and then we'll go right
yes,
through
it's
to
very
what
interesting. Very interesting.
So, rating,
Alright, so,
Stain?
Matt, or me, or I'll just go. I would rate this card probably somewhere between a 6 and 7, so I'd say 6.5. Not the best card in the world, but it's definitely a fun card, and it will definitely see some play at Battle Roads. I can pretty much guarantee it. Matt?
I'm probably going to give it about a 6 at the moment, just because I think it's a little bit too fragile to be like a really big card. But I think maybe it could go higher if we see a drop in big basics in play. Jonas?
Yeah, I agree with you. 6 is a reasonable level for it. It's, if, of course, we've mentioned it, if the, rotation is, Dragons Exalted on, then this will be very good, but, well, it will be better.
Okay.
The next?
Yeah, I'm finished with Rainbow Lakes.
Hello?
I'm gonna have to go ahead and give this one a 7. I think that it could be really powerful if you get that one turn where you can one-hit KO an EX and they can't one-hit KO you back. That allows you to swing things in your favor. So I think I could easily give it a 7.
So yeah.
Alright. Well,
Yep.
even though this was probably the worst review you have ever seen,
Probably
thank you
wasn't
for
really.
staying tuned throughout the entire thing. Next weekend we'll start with Absol from this set, and we'll carry on the the set review. We'll also touch up on Spring Regionals, which is happening right this very moment. So, anyway, thanks for watching. Stay tuned next weekend, and yeah,
Like, comment,
talk
rate,
to you
and
later.
subscribe.
Well, some of them are chowing lunch now.
Right, let's just finish up one.